Hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of the General Managers. I am Dappz with the lovely Blackbeard himself. Dylan, how are we feeling today?
Hey, pretty good, man. Pretty good.
Well, it is Wednesday, and I think you need to get into the comments now. Who are we going to start? Who are we going to sit? A lot of injuries. A lot of injuries to go over. A lot of players that lost us last week. Dylan is very upset about one of them in particular. Adonai Mitchell.
Ooh.
Oh, my goodness.
Adonai Mitchell blows a 70-yard touchdown pass from Daniel Jones. My quarterback also blows a 54-yard touchdown run from my running back, Jonathan Taylor. Thank you, Adonai Mitchell. I appreciate you losing me the week. I mean, how rare is that for a player you're not even playing? Has nothing to do with your lineup. Wouldn't even come close to your starting lineup, let alone your bench, ruining the week for you. It's so weird.
Blake, you're 100% starting Cam Scatterbo every single week until the season's over. Back to Adonai Mitchell, 4 receptions, 96 yards, 10 points. It is wild to think this guy would have had 8 more points, 18-point breakout week. Instead, he gets a holding call against Jonathan Taylor, takes back a touchdown, and then fumbles into the end zone, losing the game for the Colts, potentially. We don't know. Maybe the Rams still would have won. Anyway, when you're Dylan and you have both Jonathan Taylor and Daniel Jones in your starting lineup, which is almost psychotic to think about, you just lost 20 points.
Why is that psychotic to think about? Why did you just say that?
We'll answer that on the next show. Let's move to our next least favorite player who lost us the week, A.J. Brown. 2 receptions on 7 yards, no touchdowns, 1.7 points. Hey, Finn Blue, how you doing, brother? Dill, A.J. Brown is tough this year. If you drafted him in the second round and you've got a combined, 25 points from him across 4 weeks?
The rhetoric around fantasy football over the last 2 years, it's kind of parroted the pass happy way of playing in the NFL. Everybody goes, oh, receivers. Let's just look at some of the receivers that we took in the first couple of rounds this year. Okay, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, Brian Thomas Jr. Take running backs and quarterbacks early. Okay, A.J. Brown. Put your Bible verses somewhere else, you freaking bozo.
You know what? I really like that ideology now that I think about it. It just seems like there's always these wide receivers who are available on waivers or go off for 15 to 25 points. I mean, Quentin Johnston went undrafted. He's like wide receiver 9 right now or whatever he is.
George Pickens, Rome Odunze, what are we doing? Blowing draft capital.
5th round and lower pick. I mean, you might as well just take 3 running backs and a quarterback.
Chief 88 says A.J. Brown, lock him up. Can't believe I picked him up in fantasy. That's super aggressive, but I agree.
Chief, I did not draft A.J. Brown in 1 league, and I'm in 6 leagues. I hope that speaks to my fantasy knowledge. Another disastrous second-round pick, Ladd McConkey. This guy stinks. He's on the 3rd best receiver on his own team. 1 reception, 11 yards, 1.6 points. By the way, this is against the New York Giants. Hey, Giants do have a pretty good defense. All right, they got
Abdul Carter is.
But this is supposed to be your Julian Edelman, Cooper Kupp type receiver who is just a volume guy, catching 10 balls a game, even if it's 5 yards a clip. In PPR leagues, you're still getting 10 points out of this guy as a floor. And to have this as a second-round pick, Dill.
Yeah, no, I think, second or third. He was supposed to be the white Amon-Ra St. Brown. He is the white Ladd McConkey. I don't know what he is, but he's really killing your team.
This guy's not as good as Juwan Johnson, tight end for the Saints.
Yeah, no, he is. And maybe there's a world where we can calm down a little bit and Ladd evens it out. But Jim Harbaugh, I've said it so many times, you can't trust a Harbaugh in fantasy. They get too cute by half, throw the ball to Ladd McConkey, give the ball to Omarion Hampton, and then you would be 4-0.
Well, listen, players that lost us the week last week make us sad. Let's go over to players that won us the week and be a little bit happier. And the top 5 running backs who won us the week, we're going to start with a guy who I probably have to apologize for. I'm not going to apologize this week, but I will next week. I've been saying Ashton Genty's an 8th-round pick because he's been an absolute disaster as a first-round pick. He was in that fringe flex play position, and now he's just broke out for 3 touchdowns, 32 points. What do you think about Genty? Dylan?
The line is still a problem, but he is standing up right now. Though the line is still a problem, I think that they solved the Genty issue through passing. I'm optimistic, right? I have Genty in a league. And it was great to get 33 points, but I'm still harboring a fair amount of post-traumatic stress disorder from the first 3 weeks of the season, okay? We've had one good game. I wouldn't be surprised if he underperformed and underwhelmed next week. Clearly, the line is just bad. They can't run the ball as dedicated as they'd like to with Genty, but if you can throw him 2 passing touchdowns in a game, I mean, keep it going.
Then we're going to move right over to Kenneth Gainwell, who from week 1, I saw how many attempts he was getting, and finally he has this breakout game because Jaylen Warren doesn't play. 28 points. I love Gainwell. I love his usage on the Steelers. They have a bye this week. Jaylen Warren might come back healthy in 2 weeks, and then I'm sure that that's going to eat into his usage. But Gainwell, definitely a guy who is probably not available, but if you can snag him, grab him. Josh Jacobs, I don't know if we got to talk about him much, Dill. This is kind of expected from Josh Jacobs. Maybe this is a higher than average for Jacobs, but at the same time, 3 touchdowns, workhorse of the Packers, volume guy, can also run deep, catches balls. He does it all. And then a surprise this week, Justice Hill, 26 points, garbage time, 60-yard touchdown. Dylan, I'd have to assume you don't think this is going to happen again.
No, absolutely not. But it does give us a good kind of break to talk about Derrick Henry. Are you concerned about Derrick Henry?
Yeah, I'm concerned about him. I just offered a trade in one league for him in my keeper league because I just need to have a lockdown number 1 guy. But then I thought to myself, is Derrick Henry a lockdown number 1 guy? Maybe I want Christian McCaffrey. Maybe I don't want Derrick Henry. And the thing is, even without Lamar, that you would think that without Lamar Jackson, the Ravens' game plan has to be give the ball to Derrick Henry more.
Well, let me ask you a question. You tell me if you would like Derrick Henry or X player. Derrick Henry or Cam Scatterbo?
Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry or Ashton Genty?
Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry or Omarion Hampton?
I got to go Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry or Ken Walker?
Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry or Quinshon Judkins?
It's Henry, bro.
All right, so you're still pretty high on Henry.
I'm high on Henry. You know what I'll also say is I heard a wild stat from Dan Orlovsky, who I'll have a side beef with. We won't bring that up on this show. But Dan Orlovsky, Dan Orlovsky.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were saying that name wrong on purpose because he's annoying.
Yeah, I think it's my lack of care for what his name actually is. Dan Orlovsky, he said that Derrick Henry, last game against the Chiefs, on 1st and 2nd down, guess how many rushing attempts he had in the game, Dylan?
1st and 2nd down, 1st and 2nd down, 1st and 2nd down. 7.
6 rushing attempts on 1st and 2nd down for Derrick Henry. Now,
what did I say? Don't trust a Harbaugh. They do dumb shit. The only way they ever win a Super Bowl is if they go up against each other, and the only way that a Harbaugh can win is that it's impossible for them to not win.
Listen, if I'm the Ravens and I have Lamar Jackson either throw a 10, 15-yard first down or rush for one, I'm running to the line with 2 or 3 design plays that are all for Derrick Henry, which forces a tired defense to need to get up, and then guess what? You have to tackle a 6'5" Goliath, all right, on your next play. That's exhausting for a defense. And that's why I love Derrick Henry, and I'm not out on him yet just because Lamar Jackson is down. Cooper Rush, great backup to have in the league. All right, not a starter. Great backup as insurance to hand the ball off to Derrick Henry. He should get the rock 25 times this game if the Ravens are smart, creating at least 100 yards on the ground. This guy should have 2 touchdowns.
I'm willing to do a little side bet with you. You know who coaches the Ravens, right?
Yes, I do. And you
Harbaugh.
know what he has?
It's a Harbaugh. So I'm willing to bet you.
He's got hardware, Dill.
Do you want to go over or under 16 rushes for Derrick Henry?
Over. He's getting the rock more than 16 times.
All right, I'll
100%.
bet you $10 it goes under.
All right, shake on it.
Watch that.
Shake on it. Okay. Guys, let's move to the last player on the list of running backs, and then we'll get over to wide receivers. I think no surprise here, Bijan Robinson, 26 points. Listen, he's a guy who everybody expects that every week. And if you don't get 26 points and you only get 15, you're like, oh, Bijan had a bad week. Whatever.
Here's the thing. If Drake London has an injured shoulder and can't catch passes, the Falcons are fairly one note. Drake London heals up, becomes Drake London again. All of a sudden, you've got to watch both ways. Bijan has a better game. The Falcons need both of these guys operating in order to have any chance in a game. Otherwise, they get blown out by Carolina.
What a joke.
What?
Moving to the top 5 receivers that won us the week. And listen, Puka Nacua, best fantasy player there is right now. What do you think, Dill?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'll let people, you can always kick yourself. You can always kick yourself. Oh, I shouldn't have sold NVIDIA. Oh, I should have gotten into Dairy Queen earlier, you know? But sometimes you got to just let this stuff roll off your back, okay? Puka Nacua was a really, really high draft capital pick. Everyone said that his quarterback was Frankenstein back and it was good. It was a dicey situation. Listen, at the top of the draft, I don't want to take a risk like that. So I'm happy for the people that own Puka. Yeah.
Chief says GameStop still haunts him. So you've got a point there.
Yeah, exactly. So you got to let that stuff go. Puka's the best player in fantasy right now. But the Rams do look really good. And the thing about Puka is that his routes are just numerous. It's like a bouquet. There are bubble screens, there are slants, there are posts. He's just everywhere. He's so good.
Well, I think Puka is what we in terms of usage is what we expect from Derrick Henry, right? Getting the ball that many times, that's what leads to those receptions, yards, touchdown opportunities. Moving right along to Romeo Doubs, who puts up 25 points, absolutely incredible. Jaden Reed goes down. I am really ashamed to say, Dill, that I drafted Romeo Doubs with my last round pick in my main league and dropped him the week before Jaden Reed got injured. I never would have dropped him had I known that. And I've made some pretty stupid moves in that league so far. I've also had some really bad luck. I traded Mahomes for Terry McLaurin and Tyrone Tracy on a Friday morning, and they both got injured by Sunday.
Yeah, you're rat fucked right now in a lot of leagues. But listen, I picked up Romeo Doubs this morning on waivers in a league that does not use Fab. We've talked about it before. It's satanic to have a league that is only waivers. Everyone needs to do Fab. With that being said, hey, fantasy tech overlords, can we clear waivers at a reasonable hour? Well, why do we have to? What is with this 2:30? 7 o'clock in the morning thing? Can we just clear waivers at 9 o'clock at night and then we can move on with our lives? What is this?
Yeah, it's absolutely outrageous to do it at midnight. I'm sure it's a timing thing that would be such an easy thing to switch on or off.
It's so easy. Just do it earlier.
Just don't do it at midnight. Do it at 9 p.m.
Because remember, Yahoo Fantasy, it's fantasy football. This isn't the NFL waiver wire. We don't need regulations and stuff like that. Just stop doing this so that the only people can pick up players are Monster Energy drinking basement, earthworm people. It's ridiculous.
Hey, Steve, good evening. Tell us who you're starting in fantasy this week or how you lost last week. Also, guys, Amon-Ra St. Brown, we got to talk about him. Phil, this is a guy who I just disrespected in the draft. I've disrespected him every year. I never feel confident, and he is clear-cut, an absolute baller. Top 3 guy, maybe, right, at the wide receiver position, especially with the injuries to Joe Burrow, who's affected Chase, and now Nabers going out. Justin Jefferson losing his starting quarterback. So this is St. Brown has Goff, who loves to throw it to him. He loves to throw it his way. I'm really kicking myself for not drafting Amon-Ra in any league. Steve says, I lost by starting Daniel Jones and having Dak and Pickens on my bench. Oh, my God.
Yeah, no, Steve, that's brutal. But again, that's GameStop. You got to move on next week. Tomorrow's exciting because it's tomorrow. Listen, Amon-Ra is the best slot receiver in the game. And the thing about slot receivers is there's volume. The floors are very safe and the ceilings are very high. You want to start somebody like T. Higgins, Devonta Smith, Jamison Williams, Torrey Horton, that's fine. But the 2 or 3 targets they get, you better hope they work out. Not with Amon-Ra, okay? He gets peppered with 10 targets. He catches 9 of them. 1 of them he can break off. The rest he gets 0.5 or 1 point each. It's just a beautiful thing to have on your team.
And similar to the Rams, the Lions offense is just explosive. They score on almost every drive, and they're just a fun team to watch. Now we're going to talk about DK Metcalf, who I am so excited, who finally had his breakout game. He's had a 12-point week, a 9-point week, a 10-point week, or an 8-point week, and now he finally blows up for 21 points, catches an insane 80-yard touchdown from Rodgers, which had, and by the way, 75 of those yards were after the catch. DK Metcalf is the fastest man alive. If you didn't see that touchdown, Dill, you are missing out on great football.
Oh, yeah, no, I saw it, and I saw A-Rod rip a smelling salt right before he threw the pass.
Love that guy.
Quick question for you. Yeah, he's immunized.
Why aren't more quarterbacks ripping smelling salts? Is that what you were going to ask, Dill?
No, I wanted to ask you. You know how we have this ring of elites that rule the world, right? What is going on with smelling salts? Because we heard that smelling salts were going to get suspended. George Kittle said, I'm going to quit, right? They go, okay, we're going to allow it. Now I see so many slow-mo shots of people ripping smelling salts. We've got kickers. We've got quarterbacks. We haven't seen smelling salts this much. It's like they've honed in on this replay narrative of smelling salts.
I just don't really understand how you ban something that, like, you're smelling. You know what I mean? It's not like you're sniffing it. You're not putting it into your body. Like, you're banning a smell. Like, can you ban a smell?
I don't know that you could ban a smell.
I don't think you can illegalize a smell.
No, I don't think you could ban a smell.
No, I don't think you can ban a smell. This is a very interesting conversation that we're figuring out on the live.
Yeah, are poppers a smell? You know?
Can someone in the comments please do some, I don't know, ChatGPT research? Can you ban a smell? Because we clearly don't know.
Yeah, we're completely on an island with this question. We just don't know. Let's get to Drake London. Like we mentioned, healed up. Okay, he came down hard on the shoulder, healed up this week. Absolutely incredible. He's one of the last remaining high draft capital receivers that actually stands a chance to win you a league. The rest of them, Malik, CD. I mean, CD's going to be back at some point, so he can still do it, and the Cowboys offense looks great, but my gosh. Nico?
Well, listen, the top 5 guys who are on the draft boards this year are not looking like the top 5 guys, whether it's injury that took them out or just not great play. Nico Collins went like 9 or 10 overall in my main league, and he's just listen, I don't want to say he's not impressive. He's just not that Nico Collins number 1. He hasn't had that breakout 25, 30-point game. I think he had 18 last week, which is his highest score this season. So I'm not out on Nico Collins. I think the Texans are still finding their identity. I haven't really sat and watched any Texans football because I believe they've been playing ass games. They haven't been in primetime yet. So I'm not the biggest knowledge base for Texans football. Back to Drake London, 20 points this week. I don't think we're really surprised by this. Drake London was a guy who everybody was taking mid second round, maybe late second round, and he's playing like it. We're going to move over to the top 5.
Really quickly, sorry, Dappz. Nico Collins, week 1, 4 points. Nico Collins, week 2, 12 points. Nico Collins, week 3, 18. Nico Collins, week 4, 9. That's a That's an
Steve
11th
also
round
writes,
pick.
speaking of why isn't Pickens number 1 on week 4 receivers, he had 33. That might be PPR, Steve. And then Jake says fall off. So listen, I mean, the Nico Collins fall off, really, I mean, it's wild. But back to quarterbacks, top 5.
I believe in Dak, and we don't have to go through every single one of these, but I believe in Dak. This defense is so bad. This offense is actually good. Imagine if they had Micah Parsons, right? Can you imagine if they just had Micah Parsons? They may be able to come in second in their division, you know?
Dak Prescott, 30 points. I mean, listen, 2 years ago, before the injury, Dak was, I believe, if not the leading quarterback. He had the most yards in the air. So I don't think it's surprising that Dak is putting up fantasy points. And his receivers have dropped some big balls over the last 4 weeks. CeeDee Lamb, 3 huge drops week 1. George Pickens had a big drop last week, even though they didn't win, they tied. Had another drop in a previous game. So his receivers are costing him points for sure. I think Dak Prescott is only going to continue to score points week by week. I love it. Steve says, even Parsons couldn't help that
defense. They bite on everything.
So, and by the way, Trayvon Diggs, some of these guys who are supposed to be locked down are not locked down.
No.
Going from Dak to the number 2 quarterback last week, Stafford. Obviously, he's got Puka and Devonta Adams. He must have been like a kid at Christmas this offseason, knowing that Devonta Adams was coming to town. And this is one of those moves where, you know, you question if the Rams are going to be good. And Devonta Adams is not getting older. He looks awesome. He's even getting better with the Matthew Stafford.
We're all getting older.
Sure. We're all.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, we're all getting older.
See, Matthew Stafford reminds me of, like, he's like a physics paradox, right? Like, you know, like Schrodinger's cat, like it's 2 things in one, right? He has Puka Nacua. He has Devonta Adams. Yet he's still not a reliable fantasy quarterback. This guy will put up 15 points. He will put up 27 points.
Yep.
He will put up 12 points. Ew, poop. And confusing, I don't know how.
Wild stuff. Now, Patty Mahomes been balling out this year. Guys, I don't know if you're aware of this. Patrick Mahomes had 4 passing touchdowns. The last time he did that, and this might surprise everybody, was November 2023. Patrick Mahomes comes in the league, wows everybody, throws for 50 touchdowns, competes with Peyton's record early, and then, you know, the last 2 seasons he's kind of been winning games, but not really throwing for 300 yards and throwing for 4 touchdowns, right? It's kind of these weird defensive, or he's in the game and he's kicked a field goal at the end and they win 2017 or by some weird margin.
You ask me if this makes me a bad person. I would rather have people who have been accused of domestic assault than Patrick Mahomes on my team. That's how much I hate him.
That's a little bold to say, Dill.
You think?
I think we should just dial back the rhetoric there, and you should maybe consider what you're saying on live television. What up, Kyle G? It's good to see you.
What up, Kyle G?
Anyway, I really believe Patty Mahomes, guys, if you could trade for him, if that's an option, he's going to be putting up numbers like this all season, I believe. I think he's got something to prove after losing 2 games early in the season. Jordan Love, 26 points. Little surprising. I'm not the biggest Jordan Love guy. I don't think that this is a consistent thing you should expect from Jordan Love. I think they win a lot of games where he ends up scoring 11 fantasy points and Josh Jacobs scores 2 touchdowns and he threw for 1 and they somehow still win the game.
Josh Jacobs is a bunch runner, okay? He's going to get 20 rushes a game. You don't really want quarterbacks on teams like that. Look at what Jahmyr Gibbs does to Jared Goff.
And
right?
Listen, Jordan Love's not going to get a Swiss cheese defense like the Cowboys every single week. So don't be surprised if Jordan Love is not putting up 26 points a week for you. Moving right along to Josh Allen, who's number 5, who I think everybody thinks is going to be number 1 every week.
He's our favorite guy. I mean, me and you have a lot of Josh Allen all over the place, and you and I are really brave in the early rounds, right? It's kind of paramount importance if you're going to win fantasy leagues to have Josh Allen. And it's almost like if you don't have Josh Allen, you're going to lose.
You're just going to lose.
You're probably just going to lose. Now,
Well,
all
I think
jokes aside,
we expect 40 points from Josh Allen, though, against the Saints. So 25 is a little disappointing. What do you think, Dill?
It was a weird game. That's why you don't bet on the NFL, especially early in the season.
Let's get to some questions because the people want to know. Steve says, should I drop Ladd for Godwin?
No.
I don't think you should drop Ladd, Steve, but I would definitely pick up Godwin.
Steve, do
you have another player you could drop?
Yeah, you have to have other players that you can drop.
Steve, give me your bottom 3 guys on your roster.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Yorjo said, should I pick up Romeo Doubs or DeMarcado for the rest of the season? Yorjo, get both of those guys ASAP. Yorjo, give me the bottom 3 guys on your team as well.
He said which one. He can't get both of them.
Maybe he can. I'd like to see the bottom of his roster.
Yeah, Steve, you drop Cooper Kupp.
Drop Kupp for sure. I'll keep Ladd and Godwin.
I also think there are better candidates to drop. You got to have more players to drop. Should I drop Juwan Johnson? Listen, I don't think so. I mean, Juwan gets peppered with targets.
Is that Juwan Jennings? Who are we talking about?
Oh, Juwan Jennings. Yeah, you should for sure drop.
I assume it's Juwan Johnson. I think you're right, Dill, but
we'll find out.
By the way, everybody needs to be aware of this right now who's watching because it's just been announced today. Brock Purdy's not playing Thursday Night Football.
Oh, my God.
It's also been announced that Ricky Pearsall, his number 1 receiver, is not playing Thursday Night Football.
I swear
it's also been announced that Juwan Jennings, his number 2 receiver, is not playing Thursday Night Football. So somebody's got to catch passes. Remember, George Kittle is hurt also. And Ayuk started this. They have their top 4 targets down and their quarterback. The Niners are 3-1. Absolutely wild. But who's going to throw? Who is going to catch the ball this week? Their number 3 receiver, just if you're super thin at wide receiver or flex, is Kendrick Bourne.
Ugh, I don't even know that.
Dylan doesn't know that, but listen, this is a guy who might get 10 targets this week from Mac Jones because he literally has no one else to throw to.
You know what I think happened? The Harbaugh Bowl, New Orleans. Okay, 49ers were down there. I don't know if John Lynch was the GM at that point. I think he might have been. John Lynch goes down to the bayou. I think he banged a swamp witch or something. He was cursed from that moment and thereafter. The 49ers are absolutely screwed year after year after year. I don't know what kind of bad juju is surrounding that team, but let's just do it one more time. Kittle, Purdy, Jennings, Pearsall, Ayuk. Their entire offense, outside of the one person we actually thought was going to get injured,
Christian McCaffrey,
is gone. That's a biblical plague.
Should I drop Juwan Jennings for Romeo Doubs? The answer is yes. Listen, maybe Jaden Reed comes back, but Romeo is a key piece right now. Juwan Jennings, even if he does end up playing, and by the way, he had a questionable tag to start the season. Ricky Pearsall is above him. Ayuk is above him. Kittle's above him in terms of who Brock Purdy or whoever the quarterback is, Mac Jones, is going to look at. He is second or third option. The only way you're going to get lucky with Juwan Jennings is if everybody else is injured and somehow he remains healthy, which remains to be seen. So let's move right over to the Giants-Chargers game from last week, Dylan. We had Jackson Dart come out, 110 yards in the air, over 50% completion percentage, 54 rushing yards, two tutties, ends up with 19.8 points. Kind of impressive debut, Dill.
Listen, I picked him up. I'm going to fuck around and find out. So is Jackson Dart. The Giants are not as bad as everyone thinks they are.
Now, let's move on to Scattaboo. Guys, I love Scattaboo. I'm a big Scattaboo fan right now. I'd be trading for him low if you can, especially off a week where he only scored 12 points. I think he had closer to 20 last week. Going to be harder to trade for him when he drops 20 than 12. 25 rushes for 79 yards against a very good defense. 2 receptions, 11 yards, a 2-pointer, 12 points. It would have helped you had he not scored that 2-pointer, so he had 10 points this week. All right? This is not a breaking channel, Joe, but Dappz Sports Breaks is live right now. Just search Dappz Sports, add breaks to the end of it.
Dappz Sports Breaks is
Dappz
the
Sports
breaking
Breaks
channel.
Yes, Dappz Sports Breaks, Joe.
Dappz Sports is the sports channel. We're talking about sports.
And then we're going to move right along to Nabers, and I don't really want to spend too much time on this because he was my first pick in my biggest league, 2 receptions, 20 yards.
Let's take our time, though. There's a lot of fantasy implications with this, okay?
Okay, well, fine. We'll take our time. 2 receptions, 20 yards, and a torn ACL. 3 points. I still won my league. No worries. Now, the question is, where do all these targets go? And the answer is Wan'Dale Robinson And not Sterling Shepard. He's not on the team anymore. All right. Don't think Sterling Shepard is on the team. It's Darius Slayton, guys. Those are the two guys that Jackson Dart has to throw the ball to. The question is, who does he like more? And I think Wan'Dale got targeted 5 times and Slayton got targeted 4 times. So that's not very telling. We don't know. We don't know. What are you going to say, Dill?
You're leaving out a third guy.
Who's the third guy?
The little steroid pug himself. Cam Scadaboo's receptions are going to go up, up, up.
Okay. I think we can all agree Scadaboo, but we need to figure out who the wide receiver 1 on the Giants is, because that's the pickup of the year.
Why do we need to do that? That doesn't exist.
What do you mean that doesn't exist?
We don't need this is a problem in fantasy. You don't need to spin your wheels in the mud trying to figure out who's going to be the one on a bad passing offense. It's like, even if you figure it out, it's not going to be good.
I would tend to agree with you, except we don't know anything about Jackson Dart, and if the Giants remain to be a bad passing offense, Dylan would be correct if Russell Wilson was still slinging the rock. Russ is out, all right? Giorgio says, pick 2, start DeMarco, Kamara, or Woody Marks. Whew. I don't think I can start Woody yet. I want to after the 30-point outburst, but I just don't know. Who is Woody Marks playing, Dill? Can you tell me who the Texans are playing this week? Because Woody Marks, I want to believe in him. I just don't know if I can. The Ravens defense is pretty bad.
Start Woody
Marks, Dylan says. Kamara is losing carries to Kendre Miller, and I hate to say it because Kamara was so good for me last year, but I don't like the way the Saints offense is flowing with Kamara. He's not getting the ball the way he did last year. I really think DeMarco, who had 10 points last year with Trey Benson, 10 points last week with Trey Benson in front of him, is going to open up and be a 10-point floor guy. Mark my words on DeMarco.
I just want to really quickly, because this defense, the Baltimore Ravens defense, depending on if you're somebody that takes a defense in the 9th, 10th, 11th round, right? This was a defense that people were really targeting. Last 4 weeks, Baltimore Ravens, -3, 15 against Cleveland, -4, -3.
I love the idea of trying to trade Kamara, Giorgio, because somebody's probably still going to value Kamara pretty high, and I'm sure you can get a decent flex player, receiver, whatever position you need for Kamara. We're going to move over to the Chargers skill players. Omarion Hampton, I mean, this kid, this is why he was so high on the draft boards. He's really shown out the last 2 weeks, and also like with some impressive long runs, 12 rushes, 128 yards, 22 away from the bonus. If you have that at 150, 5 receptions, 37 yards, 1 touchdown, 25 points. This is the bell cow. But Dylan hates the hardballs. What do you think?
Both of these numbers need to go up. The rushing number needs to be at 15 to 18. The reception number needs to be at 7. I'll take the rushing number at 18, and the receptions can float around 4 or 5. But when you watch Omarion Hampton run, he hates the ground so much. He just hates the ground, okay? He does everything he can to not be on it. He's so good, and Jim Harbaugh is so bad.
Listen, Dylan hates a Harbaugh. I can guarantee you that. We're going to move on to Herbert, who was absolutely stunning the first 3 weeks. And, of course, the one game I bet on him, what does he do? He puts up 14 points, throws 2 interceptions, one of which was absolutely disgusting, the Dexter Lawrence one. I don't think that was his fault. It was like an act of God. And by the way, that touchdown won the game for the Giants, because had they not done that, they would not have ended up scoring on that play. Herbert also threw a really bad underthrown ball on the sideline. I think it was a miscommunication between him and his receiver. But on a bad day, 14 points for Herbert. I expect Herbert to be putting up 20 points average every week. Steve says Harbaugh is the reason why the Chargers are good. LOL. Yeah, I say the same thing to Dill. He's not the sharpest tool in the shed, though.
What?
See what I mean? Quentin Johnston. Let's go to the next player on the Chargers, who's been an absolute stud this year. 20 points, 98 yards, 8 receptions. Quentin Johnston is Herbert's favorite target. He dropped a 30-yard catch at the end of the game, too, so he could have had another 4 points easily. As long as Quentin Johnston doesn't have too many drops this year, I think he's going to be a guy who is set to make a lot of fantasy rosters win every single week because this guy went undrafted. So I'm very, very excited to see what Quentin Johnston can do this year. What do you think about Quentin, Dill?
Yeah, I mean, I have said over and over again that I do not believe in Quentin Johnston. I think that it's time to start recognizing that this young man just worked his tail off in the offseason. I think he got new hands, you know?
He had hand surgery.
I don't know what happened.
Plastic hand surgery. It's a new thing in L.A. Hollywood.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he went to Turkey or something and got new hands. But his hands are different, and his hands are good. I believe in Quentin Johnston. Let's get to the Cowboys and the Packers.
Going over Dak right now. Well, we talked about briefly before, 30 points, 3 touchdowns, 320. This is the Dak line. And by the way, 31 of 40. Incredible completion percentage.
Dak was hurt all year last year. Get that out of your head. Dak's phenomenal.
Dak is so good. Imagine if he had CD, Javonte Williams, and Pickens all year, what he's capable of. And by the way, if CD Lamb didn't forget how to catch week 1, I think the Cowboys beat the Eagles. So if you have Dak, great pick. You're going to be getting points all year. Pickens, by the way, we're going to move on to him right now too. 8 receptions, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, Pickens. 30 points. Pickens and Dak has obviously been a handcuff or a stack in a lot of leagues, and that won you the week for sure. 60 points from 2 guys. I mean, what is sexier than that, Dylan?
Boobs.
Well, I mean, hey, if you're on Instagram right now, you might be seeing some of those.
Yeah, and if you're on TikTok and you have any fantasy questions, drop them in the comments now. We will answer them, okay? If you need help, you can clearly see that we're both very, very good at this, so use us as your resource.
Hey, I have a gold rating. I don't know about you, but let's move on to Jordan. Jordan, we've covered him briefly as well. Jordan Love, 31 for 43, 337, 28 yards, 3 touchdowns. Very similar stat line to Dak. These guys played almost identical ball, and it really showed because the score was 40-40, and neither of them won. What do you think about Jordan Love the rest of the year, Dill?
Don't love him. Get away from me. He's quarterback 14, maybe 13 on the year, maybe 12. He could go as high as 9, but I don't want that. I want Josh Allen.
Kyle, you made a trade in fantasy. Tell us what it is, and we'll tell you what we think about it. Romeo Doubs, the man that Jordan Love is now throwing to, 6 receptions, 58 yards, 3 touchdowns. How disgusting is that?
So disgusting. The Packers spread the ball around like crazy. The Packers are a little Broncos-like in that they just feed so many different mouths. I still think that they're too chaotic to really depend on Romeo. But I think Romeo is worth a flyer. They're on bye this week, so waivers have cleared. But I think there might be a lot of people that looked at Romeo Doubs and went, nope, I'm not going to pick him up. He can't even play for me this week. So if he's still there, I'd go out and grab him.
What is his floor, Dylan?
2 points.
You think Romeo Doubs' floor is 2 points? Okay.
Yeah, I do.
I listen, I don't think that's far off from his floor. I don't think you can expect 3 touchdowns a week. I'll tell you that much. And you knock 18 points off this total, it might be a problem.
Excuse me, his floor is 3.5. First 4 weeks, 7, 10, 3.5, 26.8.
His floor at the moment is 3 points.
Volatile.
Josh Jacobs, let's check him out. 22 attempts, 86 yards, 4 receptions, 71 yards. I mean, come on now, 30 points. We already talked about what a stud this guy is. Kyle G says, I traded Saquon, Bucky, Scary Terry, and Mike Evans for Jonathan Taylor, Rome, Scadaboo, Benson, and Sutton. Great trade. I love getting JT and Rome and Scadaboo and Sutton. That is absolutely nuts. Benson went down, but guess what? So did Bucky. Scary Terry has a questionable tag, and Mike Evans. I mean, you timed that almost perfectly. I assume you did that prior to the game starting last week.
Yeah. I don't really understand how people keep the fantasy math in their head when they're making trades like this. I mean, 4-way trades, 4-piece trades, that's absolutely bananas.
Well,
but good
I think
on
you gotta go one at a time and go, this is equal to this guy, and then your next guy, this is equal to this. And,
yeah, too many lines to draw, but you clearly won that. He did it last night.
Kyle G, you absolutely stole and robbed, and you might go to prison for grand larceny because that's absolutely ridiculous that somebody would accept that trade yesterday.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to the Bucs-Eagles game, speaking of Mike Evans. Devonta Smith, 2 receptions, 29 yards with a 3.9 output. I am not surprised by this at all. This is a true boomer bust pick every single year. What do you think about Devonta Smith and the rest of the year, Dill?
Kyle Goingo says that trade was offered to him. I don't know if there's a deranged.
Accept it. Accept it immediately. If you're getting Jonathan Taylor, Roman Scadaboo, you better click that now. Right now.
That's a league-winning 3.
Leave this show and go click it and come back. Michael Carter, pick him up.
Yeah, we'll get to the Michael Carter, DeMacario debate in a little bit. Devonta Smith is my least favorite kind of player to have in fantasy. I don't really see a point in drafting boom bust guys, especially boom bust guys that somehow manage to creep their way up the draft board every single year. You'll always have people talking about J-Mo. You'll always have people talking about Devonta Smith. You'll always have people talking about T. Higgins. These guys will lose you weeks, okay? If you have one of these guys in your lineup in week 17, you are in serious danger of losing the championship. There's just no point in having these dudes in your lineup, ever. Don't ever draft boom bust guys like this.
No, and listen, T. Higgins, Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, all these guys during the draft, I don't want anything to do with any of them, to be honest, because they're being drafted so early, right?
So early.
Not that I think they're bad players, just I would never take a guy like I took James Cook 3rd pick overall, right? And also, everyone criticized me because I took Josh Allen on the turn in the 2nd pick. Josh Allen scores 30 points a week, right? Every week I'm happy that I drafted Josh Allen. I don't care if I overdrafted him by 10 picks. I couldn't have got him. Never in my life would I have taken a Devonta Smith 6 picks later. And by the way, people do that, right? People take Devonta Smith at the turn of the 2nd and the 3rd round.
Well, his average draft position.
Oh, this was 5th or 6th. Maybe I'm sorry.
5th.
I'm thinking about A.J. Brown. I mixed up Devonta with A.J. But my whole point is, even if you took A.J. over Josh Allen, is that not insane, Dill, to think about?
Taking A.J. Brown over whom? Sorry.
Josh Allen. Almost every league, A.J. Brown gets drafted before Josh Allen. Think about that for a second. Why is that a fantasy standard by all these experts? Why is Josh Allen not the 15th best player overall?
Yeah,
right?
I'm not really sure, but look at this. So somebody like Rome Odunze has a later ADP than Devonta Smith. Now, obviously, we can Monday morning quarterback this and pretend to be Miss Cleo's, but we know who these players are. They're boom bust. A.J. Brown, you just get unlucky, but if you read the tea leaves, you can see it's a tush-push team. The quarterback runs. They have one of the best running backs in the league. A.J. Brown is a great receiver if you get him in the 5th, not if you get him in the 3rd.
And you nailed it. You nailed it, Dill, because having Saquon and Jalen Hurts, not everybody can score every week. Think about the guys who eat every week, and even Saquon and Jalen Hurts. People are like, oh, if you have Jalen Hurts, oh, Saquon stole my touchdown. If you have Saquon, oh, Jalen Hurts stole my touchdown. So what in the world would make you want to have A.J. Brown as your number 1 receiver?
Don't want that headache. Let's get to Saquon, who I got to be honest with you, I'm a little worried about. Everyone thought last year that the turf reaper was coming for Saquon and Henry. And we were wrong. These two won people leagues last year. I think Saquon was the most common roster spot in winning leagues in fantasy last year. I think this might be the year that we were worried about. But we got duped. With that being said, seeing that, 19 rushes for 43 yards is inefficient. That is not great. He's not busting off those super long runs. With that being said, it's a super efficient and talented offense. They're going to be in the red zone and at the goal line a lot. But your butthole's going to pucker because you don't know what's going to happen down there. Jalen could go in, they could throw it to Goddard. It could be Saquon. It's just kind of a stressful Sunday.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily worried about Saquon when he's putting up 15 points on like an off day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that we have not seen one of those bust out Saquon 70-yard touchdowns. I think a lot of defenses are keen to, hey, we got to stop Saquon and make Jalen Hurts throw the ball, and that's not working either. So at a certain point, there's going to be defensive schemes that are not completely centered around Saquon, and when that happens, it's going to open up the door for Saquon to drop a 60-yard nightmare touchdown on everybody. The only thing that's stopping Saquon is an injury. Besides that not happening, we're going to move to the tight end on the Eagles. Dallas Goedert. Go Dirt. I love this guy. I really love this guy. I was all over him on the waiver wire. Even in leagues that I have a tight end in, I was like, I'm not letting some asshole pick up Dallas Goedert and beat me. Not happening. I'll roster Dallas.
And that's great fantasy strategy. If you have Kyle Montague on your bench, he's just never going to see the light of day. But you already have Dalton Kincaid. It doesn't matter. Get Dallas Goedert. It prevents people from getting them, and you get to dictate the pace of his value.
Dude, there's one kid in my league who he literally picks up the backup of every single running back and just has them all on his bench, and like some of them never see the light of day, and all he wants to do is hope that they get injured.
Yeah,
it's the most insane thing ever.
Well, listen.
There are bottom feeders out there like that. Just
benches
be aware.
Are only so big. Dallas Goedert, last 2 games, 17 and essentially 10 points. Very reliable, though. There are going to be some games where Dallas Goedert just kind of poops the bed. He is Dallas Goedert after all. But let's get to the big fantasy issue and catastrophe this week. That's Bucky Irving.
Bucky Irving, 15 attempts, 63 yards, another 100 yards in the air, 23 points total. This is the Bucky Irving that everybody drafted. Unfortunately, he was seen in a walking boot earlier yesterday, which makes you think he's done for the year or for at least a significant amount of time. But then I read some news today that said he's probably going to miss the game. So I don't know how you go from wearing a walking boot to probably missing the game. I would say you're definitely missing the game. Dylan, do you have any opinion about some of the news that comes out from these guys?
I don't understand this. I don't understand this opaque coach speak. Okay, Todd Bowles does this. The worst is Kyle Shanahan. Who like I don't know what you're hiding. Everybody's injured always, so you can just tell us. But yeah, Bucky looked like he folded his ankle in half on Sunday. He is. Matt Daddy said, Coach said if he's out of a boot by Friday, he can play this weekend. Good news is that it doesn't sound like it's a long-term thing. I want to ask you a couple of would you rathers, Rachaad White edition. If Bucky is sitting this weekend, would you rather have Rachaad White or Javonte Williams?
Javonte Williams.
Would you rather have Rachaad White or Kenneth Gainwell?
Well, Kenneth Gainwell's on bye, so Rachaad White.
Great point. Gosh, that really threw me. I'm so sorry.
Who else would I rather have? Rachaad White or
Chuba Hubbard?
Rachaad White.
Rachaad White or Tony Pollard?
Rachaad White all day.
You hate Tony Pollard. It's
what
so
is his
crazy.
highest scoring total this year? 12?
Yeah. Better
He's
than Rachaad White. Better than Rachaad White.
Ball. It's not a Tony Pollard hatred. It's just understanding basic football schematics. And the tight end schemes don't work. They can't block. Cam Ward cannot go through one game without getting sacked 5 times, and they can't run the ball. How is Tony Pollard going to get me 15 points?
Well, Rachaad White, week 1, 2 points. Rachaad White, week 3, 1.9 points. Get out of here.
Pro Eagle says, bro picked all the wrong New York teams except the Knicks. Well, I would argue the Knicks are the wrong team, too, because I haven't, by the way, Pro, I'm a Knicks, Jets, Mets fan since I was a kid. This isn't like, you don't brag about these things. I've never seen a championship from any of my teams. So thank you for rubbing it in. Matt Daddy, 21-day window also opened up for Tyjae Spears. Listen, I wish I could say, oh, go grab Tyjae Spears. It's going to be exciting when he comes back. It's not. The Titans can't score. They're not good. They don't have an offensive line. No Titans player is valuable. All the fantasy experts who claim that Calvin Ridley, he's a sleeper pick at 8th. No, he's not. And I don't even know if he's playing this week. Draws a questionable tag on Wednesday. Even if he didn't have the tag, I'm not starting him. He's not good. All right?
Hey, I want to apologize for that whole Kenneth Gainwell thing.
It's in the past. Nobody has thought about it since except for you.
All right.
It's really, that's an insecurity on your part.
All right,
Don't
let's get to Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is going to Baker Mayfield. I would be honored to have him on my roster. I don't, because I want better quarterbacks, but I would be honored to have him on my roster.
Yeah, I love this guy. Baker Mayfield, wish he was a Jet. He's not. 289, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, which unfortunately cost them the game. 19.8 points. Back to 2018 draft, Baker Mayfield was supposed to slip down to the 6th pick. It was Saquon and Sam Darnold and all these guys. And then somehow, 2 weeks before the draft, everyone decided Baker Mayfield was the greatest thing since sliced bread, and the Browns took him, and the Jets didn't get him. And in hindsight, obviously, we would have drafted Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson first. But even if we got Baker, we probably would have ruined his career because, we're the Jets.
Yeah, I was going to say, you really like Baker, right?
Yeah.
Why do you want him on the Jets?
Well, you're right. For as a human being, yes, I don't think he should be on the Jets.
Exactly.
Moving over to the Indy Rams game, where Danny Dimes showed his true colors. There he is, 24 of 33, 260, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 12 points. This is the Daniel Jones that we're used to, guys, and don't be alarmed if this is what his line looks like every week. If you have Daniel Jones as your quarterback in your starting roster and you think, oh, man, he's been playing so well this year. He played the Dolphins week 1, who freaking stink. Then he played the Broncos, got lucky, all right? Game 3, remember, he played the Titans and the Dolphins, the worst 2 teams in the league besides, New York's own New York Jets. So Danny Dimes is going to have a great fall off. Listen, he should have had that touchdown to Adonai Mitchell. That cost him probably 7 points, whatever it was. But you know what?
Can we stop right now? Because I don't think that you're being a good faith fantasy expert. I really don't. I really think that you're being a little nasty right now.
Nasty how?
I don't know what you're going to look up right now, but if we're existing in a world where Quentin Johnson can be a top 10 receiver, we can exist in a world where Daniel Jones is Indiana Jones. Okay. Daniel Jones beat the Dolphins, and you said he got lucky against the Denver Broncos. Okay. Got lucky or beat one of the top 3 passing defenses in the NFL. Okay. If Adonai Mitchell doesn't do that this weekend, this stat line is 18.8 points, and we're having an entirely different conversation. So I think that you're being bad faith, okay? And I actually pretty much don't like it.
Daniel Jones is not good. He showed his true colors on the last drive of the Rams game, where if this Daniel Jones hype was true, he leads them down the field. He scores a touchdown, kicks a field goal, whatever they needed in that situation. They lost by 7, so he did need a touchdown. What I will say is Daniel Jones gets to play the Raiders this week, who are not very good. He's going to play indoors, and then he's going to go to Arizona. He's going to play Arizona at home. He's got 2 home games against the Raiders and Arizona. So, listen, if he does not play well, if Daniel Jones is not getting you 20 points in the next 2 games each game, he's out.
That I agree with.
He's
Let's
out.
get to JT, top 3 running back. On the year, it's Gibbs, it's Cooks, it's JT. Okay?
It's wild how these fantasy experts didn't have Jonathan Taylor as a top 6 pick, because how did we miss this?
Yeah, I mean, I went CMC, Jonathan Taylor, and Omarion Hampton. I am still 1-3 somehow because fantasy experts are idiots and told me to draft Calvin Ridley. Anyways, Jonathan Taylor's stat line should be in the top 5 of the week. Were it not for Adonai Mitchell, Jonathan Taylor is that man. He's such a violent runner. It's just beautiful to watch him play football. Stafford is up next. We talked about Stafford. Again, Schrodinger's cat. Do not trust Matthew Stafford unless you have to. Then we get to Puka Nacua. Okay?
I mean, the stat line for Puka is just absolutely absurd.
It's so crazy.
13
it's so
receptions,
crazy.
170 yards, 1 touchdown. By the way, they run the ball to Puka too sometimes. There's no rushing yards. So these lines for Puka, he's going to have at least 2 more, plural, 30-point games this year.
I mean, yeah, 30. This will be his best game of the season.
Maybe. I mean, listen, I see this, and I think he could have had more yards. He could have had more touchdowns, right? I don't know if you could have more receptions, but
we had 15 targets, so he could have had 2 more receptions.
He could have had 2 more, right? And also, they could have ran the ball to him for 20 to 30 yards. So, again, Puka, such a fun player to have, just because if you're watching a Rams game, they're just throwing him the ball. 5-yard reception, 10-yard reception, 15-yard reception, just every single type of throw you could make, you make it to Puka. We're going to move over to waivers, guys. Listen, next week we will have this show a day early, so we'll make sure to get this information to you guys so that you can use it the same day. Woody Marks, if he's still available, you better go scoop him up. Dropped a 30-point bomb. This was a guy who experts were saying that you should draft late because Nick Chubb was not reliable. Joe Mixon's out for potentially the whole year, and they were right. Dameon Pierce stinks. Darius Slayton, is he the number 1 receiver on the Giants? We don't know. We talked about Dallas Goedert and Romeo Doubs a little bit. Now, if you want to get a little deeper, guys, into a 12-team half PPR league, some guys to look out for, like we talked about Thursday Night Football, Kendrick Bourne is the number 3 receiver on the Niners who are playing the Rams. The number 1 and number 2 receiver in front of Bourne, guess who they are? Jawan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall. They both were announced today. They're not playing, all right? DeMarcado, I doubt he's still available in your league, but he's a huge pickup. Trey Benson just got announced. He's out for the season, or at least an extended period of time, 4 to 6 weeks. DeMarcado had 10 points while he was the backup to Benson last week. Another guy I want to talk about, Michael Carter, who will be DeMarcado's backup now, could potentially get some touches. We're also going to add Michael Wilson into the mix as well. Michael Wilson is the wide receiver behind Marvin Harrison on Arizona. He's been targeted third behind Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison. But listen, if they start to double any of these guys, somebody else has to get single coverage. That's going to be Mike Wilson, all right? The other guy I want to talk about is Malik Washington. So if you were watching, or is it Parker Washington? I think it's Malik Washington. It's Malik Washington. I want to talk about Malik Washington. If you were watching the Dolphins-Jets game, you saw Tyreek Hill go down. Jalen Waddle is now clearly the number 1. Darren Waller was obviously balling out. But guess what? The number 3 receiver, who has now become the number 2 receiver for Tua, is Malik Washington. Definitely a deep pickup in a lot of leagues. You should be looking at him. You should be looking at Sean Tucker, who is behind Rachaad White in Tampa if Bucky's injury ends up being very serious. And if you still have time, you can grab Darren Waller. I don't know if that's going to be an option.
Jaden Blue,
running back behind Javonte Williams. Miles Sanders also went down, guys. Just be aware, if for any reason something happens to Javonte, now the Cowboys are left with one running back, and that's Jaden Blue. And listen, maybe Jaden Blue gets a couple carries just regardless, or maybe he gets a couple passes out of the backfield.
We did this on a Wednesday, okay? Woody Marks is obviously the guy this week. Jaden Blue, you don't know, but it might. And we're talking about all these other guys, Malik Washington and DeMarcio and stuff like that. You're probably better off. Sure, you can roster him if you want, but you're probably better off just riding with the players that you have. They don't have that high of a ceiling, I don't think. Somebody like Jaden Blue, you're not really sure, but there's a possibility that he could be a Woody Marks, a Cam Scatterboo. We got to see what he does on Dallas. The likelihood, probably not. Javonte looks like it's his backfield, but if he's there, and you have Poop, you have Calvin Austin on your bench, not playing this week, go pick him up.
Steelers says Jets going 0-17. Can't argue with that. Puka and Adams might actually be an X factor for the Rams. I don't even know if it's a might. I think they're just elite.
I think that was sarcasm.
And I also think that Kyron Williams, by the way, is due. Kyron Williams is really due. He's been playing. I don't even know if he's been playing bad. I think that Matt Stafford is just playing with his new toys, right?
Yeah.
He's got Puka and Devonta Adams. Like, this guy's just having fun out there. And he's throwing 80-yard bombs at Tutu. So
yeah, and enough with the Blake Corum stuff, okay?
Yeah, Blake Corum's not going anywhere. Guys, you are watching General Managers. We are going to be releasing an episode every single week. Dill, when does General Managers come out every single week? Tuesdays, guys. We'll be live at 4 p.m. Check us out on YouTube and please on TikTok. Dappz Live. We will be live again tomorrow at noon if you want to watch our daily show. The Cookbook, if you like gambling, Thursday, 4 p.m. We're going to be giving our picks before Thursday Night Football. Remember, Up or Down also has an episode that releases tomorrow at noon. We will see you for Thursday Night Football tomorrow, guys, pregame. It's been an absolute pleasure. Hope you are enjoying this show.